This is not going to be a video of my answers, my perspective or opinion, position. It's not a rant. Really, it's me trying to process my emotional responses to the term new age and hitting the record button while I process that in real time because I don't know, Sun, Libra, Leo moon. I always roll my eyes when people blame everyday happenings on astrology, and here I am blaming my character on astrology. So here's what triggered this particular rumination. An acquaintance, someone who didn't know me too well, was observing some of the things that I'm interested in, some of the aesthetics that I like, things around my house, that kind of thing, and made the comment, "Oh, you're really into the new age." And I observed in myself this immediate, like, "Ooh," gut reaction of really disliking being identified as new age. So then when I had time to myself, I felt like I really needed to process that. Why did I have such a visceral negative reaction? Like I kind of, curled back when identified with the new age. What is it about this term that I am so hostile toward? On one hand, I want to get combative and defensive and say pursuing mystical and religious paths older than Jesus should not be considered a new age. If anything, Jesus is new age. Often I feel like something about the implications or subtext of using the term new age centers and positions Euro-Western religions or Abrahamic faiths, which are connected to Europe, Western culture, Western civilization, because of the historical centering of the Romans, right? So it can feel like the creation of this term, New Age, is forcing a binary. It's forcing either you are of an Abrahamic faith or you are New Age, unless you look of a certain skin color and then squarely fall within people's expectations of a particular religious faith associated with people of that skin color. So maybe it's not like a binary, but you know what I'm saying. And so New Age can feel like a flippant, not well respected, broad strokes category created to lump in a bunch of people whose religious, spiritual, and mystical practices we decide we don't really want to value. I'm not saying that's what it is. I'm saying that's how it feels. I feel like the term New Age can trivialize non-Western and non-Abrahamic beliefs. I don't think you can deny that the term New Age tends to come with it this implication, again, this subtext of somebody who doesn't value science and who is probably out of touch with reality, which are attributes we can associate with other types of religious people, but then they don't get the same treatment as those lumped into the category New Age. And again, I think there's also this other implication or subtext again in there that if you are a New Ager, you don't truly sit sincerely in those particular mystical practices or beliefs, but that you are just a tourist in other people's religions. And it can feel like you don't truly possess an authentic religious practice. Again, it boils down to this sense of trivializing somebody's religious beliefs and spiritual practices. Earlier, I made that joke about how I'm doing this because I'm a Libra Sun, Leo Moon, and that is very New Agey. Of all the esoteric practices, it took me the longest to get into astrology exactly because of astrology's association with the New Age. I hadn't really come across this distinction between, say, esoteric astrology. Again, these are artificial constructs or constructs of convenience. But esoteric astrology versus popularized astrology, I saw all astrology as the popularized astrology that I had come to see in a lot of the more mainstream or popular books on astrology. Like you think of those kind of crazy-eyed people who are really into horoscopes and will only date people if their birth charts are compatible. People who go nuts about like Mercury retrograde, right? People who think that, I don't know, Neptune in Pisces is going to have an impact on their everyday life hour to hour. And so I think the popularized rhetoric around astrology and its association with New Agers is what took me so long to get into it, because I couldn't weed out that noise and find more resonant content in, say, Hellenistic astrology or Babylonian astrology. I think how people conceptualize the practice of astrology is a good starting point for me to think about why I shudder at being identified or associated with the New Age movement. It really is because of this mainstream presumption that if you are a New Ager, you are just a superficial tourist who is skating across all of these different cultures and historical mystical practices, but you have no sense of a deep understanding or sincerity of religious belief. So I think it's those stereotypes, I guess, I want to try to not associate myself with, which is why I shudder at the term New Age. I really love and admire people in our community who are trying to reclaim the term New Age, who are very activist and proactive about redefining people's perceptions of New Age. But I'm not one of those people. That's not my fight. We all choose our battles. We are all warriors in different ways. That's not the battle I choose. And I guess to identify with the term New Age, I fear maybe that it puts on me all of these presumptions that I don't want to identify with, that I don't feel like I resonate with. So by distancing myself from the term New Age, it's just a very easy, quick, and efficient way for me to make sure people don't get the wrong idea about what it is I really practice and believe. I'd almost prefer the negative press and the negative PR that comes with the term occult rather than the negative PR that comes with the term New Age, because I feel like when you say New Age, the bad press is that they're anti-science, they're anti-vaxxers, and they're the antithesis of all things age of reason, age of enlightenment, which is strange and ironic because the age of reason challenged a lot of Orthodox Christian beliefs or biblical beliefs, biblical doctrine. Yet that's not the binary we create today. Not really. The binary we use today is age of reason, age of enlightenment versus New Age. Off topic, something that I did find really interesting, further reinforcing my convictions that people have the wrong idea of the New Age movement and the bad press around New Agers, is how the majority of people in healthcare who are applying for a religious exemption to the COVID vaccine, the majority of those people, and I know this because I'm reviewing those exemption requests at the scope of my work, they cite Christian doctrine as the reason they are against the vaccine. I would say about 1% really of the religious exemption requests I review are due to more holistic New Age type beliefs. Yet a lot of my colleagues and people in the healthcare industry associate anti-vaxxers specifically with the New Age movement. They specifically assume that most of the people who are anti-vaxxers and who are applying for the religious exemption are New Agers, when that's not the case at all. The vast majority of the people applying for the exemption are Christian. So it kind of feels like the crazy Christians get a pass, but the crazy New Agers do not. And then the crazy New Agers come to define all of the New Age movement. So it's not even that I'm opposed to being associated with the actual New Age movement. It's something about me not wanting to associate my reputation with the presumptions and stereotypes of the New Age movement. It kind of reminds me of pre-adolescent young Asian kids who try to be more whitewashed and don't want to associate with their Asian identity because they don't want to be associated with these stereotypes that people peg onto Asians. So it's not that they don't want to be Asian, it's just that they don't want to be identified or associated with Asian stereotypes. So the only way they can think of to distance themselves from Asian stereotypes, not necessarily the Asian culture or Asian ethnicity, is to be more whitewashed. And so I think I still have that prepubescent attitude when it comes to being associated with the New Age movement. It's not the movement itself I want to distance myself from. It's the stereotypes of the New Age movement I want to distance myself from. If you are somebody who is trying to syncretize or reconcile Eastern and Western religious doctrines, rather than being associated with Manichaeism, which is actually what that would be, you're associated with the New Age. And collectively, we just don't have the socialized understanding of Manichaeism for me to be able to, in any practical way, correct people and say, no, it's not actually New Age. If anything, it's more Manichaean. If I try to respond with that, that's going to open up a can of worms of questions I don't necessarily want to go down. I don't necessarily want to get into an in-depth discussion of my religious and spiritual beliefs to just an acquaintance. I'm really curious about your personal relationship with the identification of New Age. How do you feel about the term New Age? I assume if you're somebody who regularly watches my videos, at some point in your life, you will have been associated with the New Age movement, right? So how does that make you feel? Do you connect and resonate with the term New Ager? Do you loathe it? What do you do if someone calls you a New Ager? Like, just what is your relationship with that movement? Let's discuss.